Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Reconsider the Invasion, written by Mostly Wicked. Rather, we should rethink this. Nonsense! His Excellency Grand Admiral Belitram Blantus Clacklack IV, hero of the Battle of Trisham Swamp, distinguished governor of the Crown Planetary District for over a decade, inventor of the Clacklack maneuver, 17 times the recipient of the Medal for Outstanding Bravery, and nephew of the great Emperor. May his name rebound amongst the stars until the end of the universe. Himself, the seventh in line of succession of all the Empire, said. Spoor and the Admiral, whom his brother affectionately called Blear, but never in the presence of others, were seated on the bridge of the great beast from the beyond, the flagship of the combined task force now tearing its way towards the enemy homeworld at several hundred times the speed of light. The beast was an impressive vehicle, the largest ever built by LEGO engineers. At 5 kilometers long, it led the combined might of 4 fleets of LEGO Space Force ships, almost 1,000 ships strong in total. Given that unimaginable concentration of might, the idea of the invasion should be rethought was ridiculous. I mean, brother, Spoor said. I've been reading up on these humans, and I'm suspecting we've bitten off more than we can chew. Nonsense! Blear repeated himself, waving his webbed hand as if to disperse the thought away into the ether. They've only thrown off the shackles of their planet's gravity a mere 200 years ago, while we have been walking amongst the stars for over an eon, and their colony worlds number in the dozens, while ours number in the hundreds. The head of the Royal Xeno History Department has personally assured me that these critters pose little threat to the illustrious LEGO Empire. But have you seen the life-sized holographic models of our enemy? The Admiral sniffed in disgust. The humans are only this tall. He held his hand at chest height. Our infantry forces would crush them. Really? Spoor waved his chin whiskers in the equivalent of a raised eyebrow. Did you know that they first flown living people to their world's moon in thin cylinders of primitive metal alloy, balanced on a column of chemically induced flame for propulsion? Long before even inventing artificial intelligence or fusion reactors. Did you know that the first time they started colonizing their home systems in earnest, they used spaceships they moved by exploding nuclear bombs behind them and riding the plasma shockwave? Did you know that they sometimes started deadly wars over a ball game and the rights to distribution of beverages? No, I don't believe the xeno-historians mentioned any of that. Was that a note of hesitation Spoor detected in his brother's voice? These humans are completely insane, brother. A favorite tactic of theirs in multiple wars was to load up a soldier with explosives to blow up in the enemy's face, at the cost of their own lives. At other times, ramming their enemy with atmospheric aircraft once all ammunition expended was another popular tactic. I know they appear weak, and the Galactic Trust assures us to that extent as well. But I'm not sure that we can face such a maniacally determined enemy and win. Spoor, Blear said, disapproval in his voice. You are a captain of the greatest flagship the galaxy has ever known. You should start acting like it. And let's not forget, I'm leading the single greatest concentration of naval force in LEGO history. These mammals sound enthusiastic. I will give you that, but enthusiasm alone doesn't win wars. Soldiers do, and ours are the best in the Empire. The best Did you know that human prepubescent children amuse themselves by participating in simulated combat with their peers? Here, the Trust Galactic Database lists thousands of such human simulations, but from infantry combat to atmospheric, wet navy, space combat, ancient and modern weapons practice, tactical and strategic play. Anything you can imagine. He made a swiping gesture at his hand reader as he read the list. DCEs, armor, total war, civilization, commandos, the list just goes on and on and on. These are the aliens that you are committing us to war with, Bria. Well, what choice do we have, brother? Bria raised a hand in frustration, his mouth leaking a bit of drool at the corners. The Galactic Trust won't even consider the Empire of our membership until we prove our mettle in combat against the humans. As great as the Empire is, it won't survive all alone in the galaxy unless the Trust gives us colonization rights, which it only grants to member species. We are doomed to either stagnate or go to war with the combined power of nearly all the intelligent species in the galaxy. Well, Bria, my brother and friend, maybe it's preferable to extinction. The humans have a long history of eradicating entire broods after winning a war. Civilian children, everyone, millions of individuals murdered without a chance of surrendering. Really? The Admiral looked horrified. What's more, did you know that the Trust tried to launch invasions against the humans no less than 3 times? My spy almost died when retrieving the secret information from the Trust. They didn't want us to know. All the invasion attempts were defeated with extreme casualties. They're just using us, brother, trying to make us do their dirty work for them, with no risk to themselves. That gave the Admiral pause. For a long minute he deliberated, walking back and forth along the decks. Finally, he stopped pacing. Does the Emperor know about all of this? Of course. Then it changes nothing, he said, sighing heavily. His Majesty is probably convinced that the rewards outweigh the risks, and, frankly, so do I. We need entry into the Trust at any cost. At any cost, brother. Careful. You may come to regret those words, perhaps, but, to be honest, I found your story too outlandish. I have a gut feeling that we're headed towards a sound and glorious victory. Everything is going to be just fine. And that's how I ended up in your POW facility, officer. Spur said into the translation device affixed to the plain metal table between himself and the human interrogator. My brother, unfortunately, didn't make it into his escape pod when the beast blew. I see. The interrogator, who introduced himself as Lieutenant Barlow, nodded in the alien gesture of assent. The human was tiny compared to Spur's bulk and looked completely non-threatening. It didn't even have any claws that Spur could see. It was remarkable, Spur pondered, that these aliens could fight as well as they did. Well, Mr. Spur, the human continued, you don't need to worry anymore. It is true that some factions in our history have done some things our modern civilizations are not proud of. But we don't do those terrible things anymore. Oh, that's a great relief. I guess that means you no longer let your children train in simulated warfare from a tender age. The lieutenant just smiled and went on. We still want to question you and the other survivors some more, but there's a good chance that you'll be sent back to your home planet sometime next month at the latest. That's surprisingly magnanimous of you. Perhaps, but we have a good reason for that. To be honest, we've been considering forming a coalition against the Galactic Trust. It's still in its very preliminary stages, but we already contacted a few races who were denied membership, and some are receptive to the idea. The thought that maybe you could carry the proposal to your Emperor. Your empire is the largest in the part of the galaxy by a good margin. Having you with us would be a big step towards ridding the galaxy of the Trust's tyranny. Very interesting indeed, Spore said. I doubt the Emperor would hold any loyalty towards the Trust after they tricked us into a war with your people. Very well, I will be honored to carry this message of peace and hope to my ruler. Excellent! Lieutenant Paulo stood up and extended his hand. I think this might be the beginning of a new galactic era. Spore hesitated, but then he remembered the meaning of the human gesture from his research. He stood up and he shook the lieutenant's hand. End of story. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons, Dragzoon WRE, Quantum Wednesday, Ambrose Cattell, Lord Ashrakal, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.